The Sip and Swish podcast now has our very own t-shirts. They look great. Feel free to check them out. We're going to post photos on Twitter and Facebook, and we want to give them to you for free. All you have to do is download this week's pod, then share it on either Facebook or Twitter. We're going to choose 3 winners at random and send you a free t-shirt. Welcome back to the Sip and Swish podcast. So much has happened in the last 24 hours of the NBA. We're incredibly excited to talk about it. Nick Reed, Lucas McLean, I'm Jason Stoltz. Thanks for joining us again. Guys, crazy 24 hours.
I went to bed last night, I woke up this morning, and the entire league just seemed to go up in flames. Just
Everyone's imploding.
Every team is just like, nope, I guess the trade deadline's, like 2 weeks away? So but this just doesn't normally happen this bad.
No, we're in week 6, I believe, including the test run of this podcast, and we haven't had nearly as much material as this to discuss. So let's jump right into our first quarter, where we talk about the best and worst from last week. We refer to it as sipping or swishing. And we're going to do a quick take version because there's just too much to talk about. Normally we do, 3, maybe 4 topics in this quarter. We've got a whole bunch. We're going to try and keep it a little concise. Jumping in. Jason Kidd, you're sipping. Maybe alone. Maybe in a dark hotel room. Real sad. I don't know. Lucas, why don't you bring us and the listeners up to date on the Jason Kidd situation as we understand it?
Jason Kidd is definitely in a room in a corner drinking, very sad right now because he is jobless. Bill Michaels, one of the reporters on the Bucks, released the story on how it happened, and basically Jason Kidd called the GM after the Sixers game a very nasty expletive. Words were thrown back and forth, and the GM just straight up fired him. Told him, never come back to the arena. Don't bother picking up your stuff. Jason Kidd was out after that. And at the time, Jason Kidd didn't have many friends in the organization. So this isn't like a huge shock because players weren't happy with him. Ownership wasn't happy with him.
I wasn't happy with him.
No, Nick looks ecstatic right now.
I think Bucks fans are ecstatic. Bucks fans are happy. Players should be happy except for Giannis, which is kind of confusing. I guess he was his
first coach. Giannis just loves people. Like, he's just
yeah, talk to us about your boy Giannis.
I mean, when Jason Kidd first started coaching him, he was like, who is this guy? Like, and he got benched or something, and he looked up his stats and was like, oh, this guy's actually an amazing player. I need to learn under him. But it's like,
right,
he's a terrible coach. I don't care what anybody says. First of all, having someone bump into you to spill a drink on the court for a timeout, fouling when you're up by 4 because they might get a 4-point play.
How is a coach planning to be scared of a 4-point play?
I've never really played basketball in my life, and I know not to do that.
Right. The point of being a coach and having a coach is to know we don't allow 4-point plays. I don't think you need a game plan against the 4-point play.
Let them take a 3. We get the ball back, and then we take free throws, and we're still up. Hopefully you make the free throws.
Right.
Good firing for the Bucks.
Great firing.
Blazers. Also sipping. Damian Lillard just had a meeting with ownership to seemingly just say, hey, I'm Damian Lillard. I want you to know I still want to be a Blazer. Kind of sounds like maybe fake news coming out from that meeting. Nick, what do you think on this one? What's really going on?
He's just pissed that they went out and signed players like Alan Crabb, Evan Turner, Myers Leonard, no one good to put around Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, and he's like, give me something. Make a trade.
It's significant, if he has to go to ownership and say, what's the next step with this roster?
Right, I want to be here, but what's the next step?
I want to be the greatest trailblazer ever, but what can we do here? And there's almost you can't. You're locked in with Evan Turner, Mo Harkless, Myers Leonard for the next 3 years of almost $40 million. Even CJ, which is he's probably paid, what he's worth, but it's still $24 million a year for the next 4 years. Lillard's being paid the same. Where do you fix this roster? You can't make a big trade for one of these players like DeAndre or Kevin Love or Blake Griffin because none of those teams want these locked in underdeveloped players. Like,
I just don't. I think he's in this scenario where he really wants to get to the finals. He really wants to get deep in the playoffs. But this roster will never get there for years. And Damian might be getting to the point in his career where he's like, I'm not going to stay in this. Like, I may want to be the best Trailblazer ever, but I also want to win an NBA championship and go down in history.
Do you think trading CJ could fix this roster? Like, you trade CJ?
I think that's the only piece that they could trade to get someone interesting.
Right, he's their best asset other than Lillard.
Right.
And I was also thinking about this, and potentially I'm going to write an article for the website about this over the next week. When was the last time, or I guess how frequently do you really see the two best players on a team be guards, be your two starting guards, and have that team win a championship? It's pretty rare when you start thinking about it, and I feel like you can look at this in DC too with Wall and Beal.
Yeah.
Having your two best players be your two starting guards, I don't think is a recipe for winning.
That's like Charles Barkley's issue with the Golden State Warriors a few years ago. But, of course, you can't really compare Lillard and Curry, and Clay is a completely different player than like a combo guard.
He's also
CJ.
so oversized. Yeah.
He's huge. Yeah. He's like a small forward that shoots 50% from three. It's
and
like,
they still have Draymond.
And they have Draymond.
Freak positional
So
player.
it's like those teams don't have this weird Draymond on their team that can do anything else. Like the closest thing both those teams have is probably Otto Porter, but he's not at the level of Draymond, and he can't play a bigger position than small forward.
He's honestly almost like just kind of a 3-and-D kind of
right.
Maybe closer to Clay and like just making threes.
Gotta keep it moving. Too much to talk about.
It's so hard today.
Kawhi and the San Antonio Spurs relationship. Sipping tears out of a glass. I mean,
I hope this is fake.
Jalen Rose says Kawhi, quote unquote, wants out. You guys know how I feel about Jalen Rose.
You love
Personal hero of mine. WWJRD. It's how I live my life.
I just don't know where these reports come. Like, who's leaking these things? Like, is there someone in Kawhi's camp that's like, he really doesn't want out, like he wants out? Or I don't know what to make of this situation. Is it the team misdiagnosed the injury, so they're actually treating the wrong thing, like the Celtics did with Isaiah? Are the Spurs trying to avoid paying Kawhi the supermax?
Right.
Which I think that honestly could be, if this is the whole ploy, they don't want to pay him $205 million.
Yeah.
And I think maybe an underlying thing, which I think is probably real, is Kawhi is upset about the treatment that LaMarcus Aldridge is getting as being the number one guy. Like, LaMarcus spoke out and said, I don't like the way the Spurs are playing, and then Pop just folded. Would Pop fold to Kawhi? Like, he's just a soldier, like Kawhi's the perfect soldier for Pop.
I think this scenario with like LaMarcus was different though. He played an entire year so bad, and Pop was trying to change him so much. But like LaMarcus has been in this league for so long, and he has his style, and that's how he's playing. That's how he's going to score 25 a night. And Pop molded Leonard to be this player, and Leonard may be bad, but like, dude, you're Defensive Player of the Year. You're an NBA champion. You're a Finals MVP.
I just wonder if there's a little more dysfunction in San Antonio than any of us could have ever imagined. When you really think about it, I mean, you had LA with the issues last year and over the summer. I mean, Aldridge had all that. Mm-hmm. And then now this is coming out about Kawhi. It's almost like did kind of this era of stability and peaceful zenness and with Tim Duncan.
Is Pop over his head? I mean, he's overpaid some old players now, thinking he can just replicate the old man system. Like Powell is being paid $18 million a year, Riquet is being paid $18 million.
It might be getting to that point where it's coming to an end, where it's like, all right, well, we might have to go in a different direction, because I think
Pop would retire. I think
there were also some good things that happened this last week. Some people were swishing. Boogie, DeMarcus Cousins, you swished last night, big time. 44, 24, and 10 in a double OT win against Chicago. It's kind of what's frustrating about Boogie, right? Like, he has all this potential, and it comes out like once every 5 games, maybe? I mean, he always puts up stats, but like, you really see what Boogie can do.
Yeah.
Only a handful of times.
Right?
But it just hurts my soul that this was against the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, I wrote down impressive, but not. I mean, it's everything Boogie could do. But if he did this against the Thunder or against someone
insane.
with an actual big man to defend him, like, he could have just been playing against rec kids right now. Like, the Bulls aren't a real team right now. Especially at the big man position, they have that rookie at power forward, and then probably Robin Lopez took the night off. You know, he's old. You just take the night off. I think, like, this is more of a game where people should question, does Boogie re-sign? Because Anthony Davis just had, like, back-to-back 40-point nights. Boogie just had a Wilt Chamberlain night.
Yep.
Is Boogie, like, I just assumed Boogie was going to leave. But now, is Boogie in a happy place? Like, would he be content with, like, the 7th seed every year for the rest of his career?
Anthony Davis jumped into his arms last night after the win. He was loving it. He's like, my boy.
Anthony Davis is Boogie is a buddy now. Anthony Davis. It's like, I don't know. I think this is something where we could see Anthony Davis and Boogie for the next 4 years together.
Well, they need to build something around it.
I know. They have Rondo.
They have Rondo, and they have Drew Holiday, and then they have Solomon Hill, and they have a Sheik, and, like, those other two are just completely garbage.
I mean, they basically just have a lot. They have people playing significant minutes that if they were on a good team would maybe never see the game. Or maybe play 6-8 minutes. I mean, they're pretty much the entire bench, if it was on a good team, wouldn't be playing.
Nope. They probably wouldn't be in the league.
Our beloved Timber Puppies.
Yes.
Had a bit of an up and down week last week, but finished strong. But specifically, we're going to talk real quickly about Andrew Wiggins coming up big, swishing last night. Dropped 40 in a win over a Clippers team that's actually looked a lot better lately.
They've been doing really well. In his 2 games, he's averaging 35 without Jimmy Butler. It was a 29 and then the 40-point game. You know, Lucas has talked bad about Wiggins this year.
I've never said Wiggins couldn't drop 40 in a game.
But I think
he has all the abilities to do what he's doing right now, but he doesn't have that, like, you know, this would be the only time of the year you could see him drop 40. How many times has he dropped 40 this year? And we've played.
But I think this shows perfectly that he's sitting into his role of being the third guy.
That's what I was going to say. Is this him Chris Boshing, you know, essentially from the Heat, where it's just like, okay, this is going to be my role on the team, and I'm going to do it well.
Yeah, and tonight I have to drop 40, and I'm going to do my best to do it, and he did. You know, I don't think he could do it consistently.
No, but I think, aren't they almost the 3rd seed? Or they are the 3rd seed right now?
I think they're the 4th, but I think they're like 1 game out.
They're
half game out, something like that. I don't think they're the 3rd.
I think they might be.
Are they the 3rd?
They're so close to being the 3rd seed.
They bumped the Spurs.
They are the 3rd seed right now. They're half a game ahead of the Spurs.
Half game ahead of the Spurs.
The Minnesota Timberwolves are the 3rd seed in the Western Conference.
Thank you, Jimmy Butler.
That's my mind is still blown about this right now.
OKC swishing again. Winners of 4 in a row, including blowing out the Cavs on Saturday, I believe. What's their ceiling? And kind of building off of the last topic, who has the higher ceiling this year? Timber Puppies or OKC? I feel like we've talked about OKC a lot, so I kind of wanted to bring something a little different to this last point in the first quarter. What's their ceiling? Is it higher or lower than the Timber Puppies?
OKC is higher.
Really?
Straight up higher.
I think it's really, really close.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it really is, because Melo could self-destruct. Adams doesn't create his own shot, so all you really have is Westbrook and George, and who knows what George can do. Like, he could drop 36 on the Cavs, or he could drop 1 in 16. You know, he's very inconsistent. I feel like the Timberwolves are being way more consistent all around. I think they're both peaks are probably 2nd round exits, maybe. I think like a third, like going to the conference finals would be the accomplishment. I don't think they're finals caliber, but like peak would be conference finals, but more realistic, they're 2nd round exits, both.
The only difference between these 2 teams is one team. Well, besides Jimmy Butler and the Timberwolves, who really has been in the playoffs, and you have Westbrook, who's been to the finals.
Jeff Teague.
Oh yeah, Jeff Teague's never missed the playoffs. I'm sorry, but like you have Carmelo, who's been in the conference finals. Paul George, who's made some deep runs in the Eastern Conference. Like They have experience. The Timberwolves don't have the experience yet. So if they get to that Game 7, they're nervous.
Veteran leadership.
Veteran leadership, baby.
Veteran leadership.
Second quarter. Garbage time. This is where we each get a little bit of time to reflect in monologue form. Really about whatever we so choose. To delve deep and to channel our inner love or inner hate. Nick, you want to go first this week?
You know, I'm showing some love to the Los Angeles Clippers player, Lou Williams.
Sweet Lou.
Sweet baby Lou. I wouldn't expect Lou to do this. So in 45 games, he's averaging 23 points, shooting 45%, 40% from 3. That's pretty damn good for Lou Williams. Now, he's played without Blake Griffin for an astonishing 16 games. Hasn't had Gallinari for 27 because he doesn't actually play in the NBA anymore.
Nope.
But in the month of January, how many points do you guys think Lou Williams is?
Averaging?
Yeah.
26.
Wrong.
Oh.
In the month of January, he's averaging 29 points a game.
Jeez.
My opinion didn't matter, obviously. No guesses for this guy.
I'm sorry. But I saw a lot of debates about people saying, like, should Lou be an all-star? And I was like, I didn't think it. 23 points a game is something impressive. But then I saw January, and I was like, okay, this guy's killing it.
That's fierce.
He's keeping this Clippers team that was without most of their players in a playoff spot, even the 8th seed, for that long.
They were left for dead.
They were.
After maybe the 3rd week of the season, because they had that hot start and then just fell off a cliff.
They were looking at the 6th pick in the draft. That's what their peak was.
And then all of a sudden Lou was like, no. I got this team.
So are you telling me he's an all-star contender? Should have been?
I think he could have been a bubble pick, especially with the All-Star game being in Los Angeles. It would have been interesting, and it just would have been kind of a funny story of Lou Williams, the 6th man of the year kind of guy. Also, he can't be the 6th man of the year.
You don't think so anymore?
He's started 14 games.
Oh, well then, yes.
He's already it's like a J.R. Smith kind of thing when he was in New York. He's like, should
awful.
J.R. be the 6th man? It's like, he pretty much plays 40 minutes a game.
He just technically comes off the bench.
In the 2nd minute of the game. No.
Yeah.
But I'm loving what Lou is doing. I'm glad he's having some success. He was on my beloved Lakers, and then we traded him.
And even before that, my beloved Sixers.
He's been everywhere.
He pretty much has.
And, the Rockets gave him away for Chris Paul. Rookie mistake,
Bold. Too bold.
That's my garbage time. Lou, you're beautiful. Be an all-star one day. Who wants to go next? Who's the next garbage time?
I'll take it. So, I wanted to talk about JJ Barea versus John Wall.
Oh, yes.
That's a really great storyline.
And let me just say, JJ Barea wins. JJ Barea absolutely wins. So, Dallas demolished the Wizards last night, 98-75. Let me just say, pathetic. Pathetic, DC. Wall gets mad at Barea for a foul that he commits against Oubre. And they kind of have a small on-court thing. It's not a huge deal. But, 5'10" Barea doesn't back down for anyone. We all know this.
I freaking love JJ Barea.
His wife?
We've talked about this before.
So post-game is when it got really good. So post-game, Wall says, and quote, "It was cool to me. It was funny. Just a little midget trying to get mad. So I paid him no attention." Barea retaliates. "Now I have somebody in the NBA that I don't like. That's my first. I don't like him at all now. But I don't think his teammates like him either." Arguably the best shit talk in the NBA this entire season. It got me really fired up, if you can't tell. This is just a couple days after a failed team meeting in DC. Wall and Beal used to not speak. Now their teammates don't like either of them, seemingly. Wall was 11, 3, and 5 last night on 26% shooting. Barea is a world champion. John Wall finally has a shoe deal. Congratulations, John Wall. JJ Barea beat you.
Oh my God. John Wall just...
Doesn't it feel validating? Everything we've talked about the Wizards and now like everything is crumbling around them.
We're right.
We were right. They're a terrible team.
Right.
Everything about them is terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
Their egos are better than their win record.
It really is.
so true. Sweet JJ Barea
Sweet.
with the knockout punch. Lucas, take it away.
All right, for my garbage time, I'm going to talk to you, Cavs fans. You're all delusional. I'm sick and tired of hearing about every single thing you say. It's terrible. Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert are not trade assets. Get over it. You cannot trade any combination of the three of them for DeAndre Jordan. No one should do that.
Tristan Thompson, Isaiah Shumpert, or Iman Shumpert, Isaiah Shumpert, both of them, in the Nets pick.
And the Nets pick.
For Durant, who says no?
For Durant, yeah, who says no? I'm so sick of you. The Brooklyn pick is completely overrated. Maybe 2 years ago, it looked as the number one pick. Right now, it's looking more like 9 or 10. The Nets are pretty good. That pick is really average. That would be like someone, like a Knicks fan, saying, oh, we're going to trade the 10th pick in the draft for an all-star. No, that doesn't happen. Okay, realistically, you're not making the finals this year. And your only trade asset is Kevin Love. You have to get rid of him. Right now, the only player you're seeking is George Hill, who is making $20 million a year. He's only averaging 10 points. He's 31 years old.
I did not know that.
I didn't know he was making $20 million a year, and he'll be making it for the next 3 years. That man is making bank in Sacramento.
Keep getting those checks.
Keep getting them checks. Get over yourself. Tristan Thompson, Iman Shumpert, and the Nets pick will get you nobody. It's not happening.
Except maybe like a Kardashian on the side.
Maybe a Kardashian.
James Harden scraps.
So for the third quarter, we have the infamous Lucas list. And this week, we're going to do the top 3 hypothetical blockbuster trades in the league. It's going to be a little complicated, so afterwards we'll post it on Twitter and Facebook so you all get a complete description of the trades. We're going to start with the Bucks trading Jabari Parker, Thon Maker, and John Henson for DeAndre Jordan. Bucks do it because they need a center. Desperate need. They'll get an all-star, all-NBA defensive player. They're going to be in win-now situation soon. They need to take risks to change like their just terrible culture that they have now. Just constantly losing and just banking on Giannis doing well. And like a lineup of Bledsoe, Brogdon, Middleton, Giannis, and DeAndre Jordan, that's a mean starting 5 in the East.
That's scary. And I really think they need to, with the firing of Jason Kidd, they need to do something to drastically change their future.
Yeah, change the narrative too.
Just be like, we're done with Jason Kidd. Let's get DeAndre Jordan.
They need a spark. The Clippers will do it because DeAndre only has 40 games left as a Clipper. He's a rental. He's not re-signing. There's no reason to keep him around just for the sake of it. Jabari's injury prone, but he's a huge boomer bust. Former second-round pick in the draft. He's a moving, like, just a walking 20-8 player. He's a great power forward of the future.
Good. When he plays, he's outstanding. And I mean, I remember the conversations like, do you get Wiggins or do you get Jabari? And it was like it was honestly a toss-up.
Yeah.
Without Parker's injuries, like, it was either or.
It really was that close. Thon Maker is also included in the trade. He's young. He might be young. He's a great rim protector, though. In the playoffs, he averaged last year against the Raptors 2 blocks a game in less than 18 minutes. So his last game, he only played 13 minutes, and he had 5 blocks against the Raptors. He's a great shot blocker. He can't really do much else, but he's only 20.
I honestly think the best asset to get rid of it's not an asset, it's like a liability for the Bucks. It's John Henson. And I've loved John Henson, but dude, stop going to Chipotle. Start working out. Have you ever seen John Henson play? He's so slow.
He doesn't care. He got paid.
He got paid, but there's just nothing to him. He doesn't have offensive talent. Like, he's good defensively a little bit.
He has the offensive, but he has those advanced metrics that say he's like the best offensive rebounder in the league. But that's only because
he plays at most like 2-minute spurts because he can't play more than that because he eats so many burritos or Chipotle bowls.
Chipotle, we will stop saying negative things about you.
I will
choose to sponsor this podcast, or just give us free Chipotle because it is delicious.
It's delicious.
So Lucas put this through the trade machine. It works financially. It makes the Bucks better than it makes the Clippers. It's more beneficial for the Bucks, in my opinion, and in the trade machine's opinion too. What would this elevate the Bucks to? What's the best case scenario if this trade happened? What's the best the Bucks could do this year?
I think it would guarantee them a top 3 seed.
Wow.
Cavs would be slipping. Wizards are slipping. They instantly have an elite defensive team and an offensive team that, just the starting 5 could drop 65 a night.
Could you imagine just Giannis to DeAndre Jordan lobs? Like, he would literally just throw him straight in the air because Giannis is so high up, and DeAndre's like, "Yo, you're up here too? What are you doing up here?"
Second blockbuster trade would be the 76ers
Jason.
trade Markelle Fultz, J.J. Redick, Amir Johnson, Jared Bayless for Kemba Walker, Nick Batum, and Jeremy Lamb. This one is super controversial because if I was a 76ers fan, it would hurt me way too much. But the Sixers do it because what if Fultz's injury is really significant? What if his shoulder is really messed up? What if they made a mistake and they're having buyer's remorse?
I'm having buyer's remorse.
They gave up a lot for Fultz.
They gave up a lot for Fultz. And personally, I think ownership is in more of a win-now situation. I think they're done waiting on Embiid. They waited 4 years for Embiid. Embiid's Embiid now. They waited a year for Ben Simmons. Can they realistically wait 2 more years for Fultz to become what they think he's going to be? What if Fultz prime is Kemba Walker? So you just trade a rookie that's going to be Kemba Walker for Kemba Walker.
That's a great point.
So it's like, why wait 6 years to have something when you can have it right now and make a great push for the playoffs?
And it would be great for the Hornets. J.J. Redick would obviously leave them, and he's getting paid a ton of money. I forget how much money this man gets paid. But
J.J. Redick got signed for a situation like this to make a big. He's only one. It's an expiring contract.
Exactly.
So it's to make a big push in a trade.
And like we've said, Nick Batum could just come back and be. I've said this before because we talked about this trade a little bit while you're thinking about what you're going to do for your list this week. What if Nick Batum becomes for the 76ers what Andre Iguodala is for the Golden State Warriors? He's just that bench player.
I think that's it's very possible. And $22 million a year sounds incredibly like an overpay, but if you think about the Warriors when they first signed Iguodala, that was a quarter of the cap was for Iggy. That's the same percentage now, even though 22 obviously feels and it hurts more than 15 a year. It's the same percentage, so you're basically getting Iguodala of 2013.
And as well as Golden State, Philly's a big market. They're willing to overpay.
They have to. Yeah.
They've been bad for so long that if they get the sniff of a championship, I can see that owner going, okay, let's do it.
So how do Kemba and Ben Simmons play together?
Kemba would be what J.J. Redick's position. He'd play the shooting guard.
He would just slide over to shooting guard?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you'd have to worry too much about Kemba's shooting. I think he can hit the 3 consistently. He's like 36%, so that's average. But the Sixers don't have a slashing mid-range killer. And that's what Kemba would be. At the end of games, you have Ben Simmons not being able to create his own shot. Kemba can create his own shot. He'd be the only player, realistically, outside of Embiid that can create.
Right, yeah, we talked about that last week. I think it's arguably their biggest weakness.
Yeah, I could not see a situation in which if Kemba joined this team, the 76ers wouldn't instantly guarantee the 5th seed. You just instantly mid-playoffs, they'll get to the second round. Maybe they lose this year in the second round, but then they're developing and they have prime Kemba Walker for next year and the year after that. I think it's obvious for the Hornets. They need to rebuild. Kemba has to go. Have to get rid of that cap.
And Fultz could become something.
Fultz could. Maybe he's not a bust.
If not, they lose enough games that they get a good pick.
Right. Biggest trade.
Like my little sister. His shot is so destroyed. I don't even have a little sister, but this fictitious little sister that I don't have shoots just like Markelle Fultz.
He shoots like my cousin's half brother. Kid throws the ball and it's like halfway through his shot he forgets that he threw it and then he finishes the form but the ball's going behind him and he's like, wait a second. And someone else gets it and they're already on the other side of the court and like Fultz is Like, what just happened in this game?
Fultz's shot looks like Charles Barkley trying to swing a golf club.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison.
Fultz's shot is worse than Lonzo Ball's shot.
Ouch. So bad that they don't even play him. That's
It
how bad
hurts
his shot is.
myself to say that, but it feels good. It feels
Let it out, yeah.
righteous.
So the biggest trade
Oh,
on the
trade.
3 blockbuster trades, I'm going to have to explain it thoroughly, but Cleveland trades Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Channing Frye, and their first-round draft pick this year for Evan Fournier, Tobias Harris, Nikola Vucevic, and Jonathan Simmons. Okay. Super details. Cavs get Fournier, Harrison, Vucevic, and Simmons. The Magic get Reggie Jackson, Stanley Johnson, Luke Kennard, Henry Ellis, and Channing Frye, and Detroit and the Cleveland Cavaliers first-round draft picks. Detroit gets Kevin Love, Alfred Payton, and J.R. Smith. This is very complicated.
Just for all the people out there, we will post this on our Twitter so that you can see it and follow along because this is
The Lucas
the big
list
one.
will have a very detailed
As well.
why this happened. But the Cavs get a new roster of players that are up and coming from the ages of 25 to 27 who are in their prime, all of which are averaging at least 18 points a game. They get wings in Fournier and Jonathan Simmons. They get a stretch 4 in Tobias Harris, who's probably the second best player on the Pistons. They get Vucevic, who's an offensive rebounder who averages 3 offensive rebounds a game. They get a completely new roster
and I hate it.
that that LeBron gets to build around. It's just fresh. I think LeBron is now frustrated because the rest of the team doesn't want to be there. Like Kevin Love is sick of being the scapegoat because he's like, Kevin Love, you should be averaging 30. And Kevin Love's like, well, you didn't ask me to do any of this for years. And now that I physically can't do it, it's like my fault. Like
He's even trying. Like he's putting up really high numbers, like Minnesota Timberwolves numbers, and people are still hating him.
I think he gave out the last 2 games. That illness was probably fake. And the game before against the Thunder, he probably just didn't want to play. 3 minutes, he just didn't want to play.
The flu's a plague this year.
The flu gets played.
It's kind of a trend that players are increasingly less happy playing alongside LeBron.
It really is. LeBron signed too many of his friends, and nobody wants to join a team with a superstar that's only playing with his best friend.
You know what Barkley said about him?
What?
Drama queen.
I mean, it's good. The thing with LeBron James, and you compare LeBron's teams to the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are still going out getting young players. They get Jordan Bell. They trade for $3 million. They trade for a draft pick, and they get young players to throw into this, like the cog in the machine. So they continuously are going. Whereas LeBron's teams are like, "Hey, JR, we're gonna pay you $15 million a year. Is that okay? Oh yeah, okay. Let's go over here." And then all of a sudden, JR's like, dude, I'm only going to score 4 points a game now. All of a sudden, I just forgot how to play basketball.
He's getting paid. I mean, I think he's a perfect candidate of, I'm making $15 million a year. I'm playing with LeBron. Why do I have to try anymore? Like, I'm set for the next 3 years of my life. Don't really have to play.
Except for his contract's not guaranteed.
His contract is not guaranteed after next year. Very true. He's gonna have to play next
He's
year.
going to have to relearn how to play. Now, explain to me why the Pistons and the Magic make this trade.
Magic get this trade because they need to push the restart button. They have too many bad contracts on players that won't succeed in the future. They're getting rid of Alfred Payton, who needs to get a haircut, take a chance on a young point guard in Reggie Jackson, who's in his prime. He's not a perfect point guard by any means, but they will have him on roster for the next 3 years on a relatively okay contract.
It'll be fun to watch.
It'll be fun to watch. He'll do enough on offense that it'll be exciting. They also get Stanley Johnson, in which the Detroit was trying to sell. He has really great defensive potential. He'll probably end up being like Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Luke Kennard is probably the biggest thing in this acquisition because Luke Kennard is seriously a killer. I watched him in preseason. It was so cool. I watched him on that terrible Pistons-Wizards game that these two forced me to watch. He was so cool in the fourth quarter that finally Stan Van Gundy let him play, and he put it 14 points in like 8 minutes just by doing mid-range killer shots on Bradley Beal. And I was like, oh my god, who is this rookie? Why isn't he playing this whole time? He's the best asset. Henry Ellison is their pick in 2016. He's just a prospect. Channing Frye is expiring to match contracts.
But
then they get two. He gets at home.
He
Yeah.
goes back home.
Then they get 2 first-round draft picks. The Magic are pushing the reset button. They can't trade Biyombo's contract. That's just a sunk cost at this point.
It's so bad.
It's terrible, but everything they're gonna have to re-sign Aaron Gordon. But this will be the first step of pushing the reset button for the Magic.
NBA GMs out there, if you're listening,
This would be the smartest move the Magic.
this is a great move. But if you see an NBA player who does well in 4 games in the playoffs, do not sign him to a big contract. I'll tell you, it will be bad.
Also, may I add, if you're listening and you love what Lucas just had to say, don't try and steal him from us. We know he's smart, but he's dedicated to the Sip and Swish. Sorry. He will not
Sponsor
accept...
us.
Yeah, you can sponsor us, but he will not accept a position in your organization. I'm speaking for him.
So the Pistons are getting Kevin Love, the awful J.R. Smith, and the awful haircut of Elfrid Payton.
But they need to. I think they like Reggie Jackson, but in this trade, they get a flyer on Elfrid Payton, which will be good. He's a good point guard. He's an average point guard. Okay, that's fine.
Haircut, he could be good.
With a haircut, he could be very good. But the biggest thing is Kevin Love. Detroit cannot attract any free agents. That's why they traded for Avery Bradley. That's just why they're going to do this trade. So then the big three.
I like Andre Drummond with Kevin Love.
It would open up
Drummond
so much.
needs a stretch forward, but not just a stretch forward, an elite stretch forward that can actually post up, get in the paint, get other offensive rebounds. So it's not just Drummond. If you have Kevin Love who gets offensive rebounds at the same rate as Drummond, that team may never lose a board.
Welcome to everybody's favorite quarter, the fourth quarter, hosted by yours truly, Nick Reed. So last week was a bit rough for the Sip and Swish podcast, the highest record, and the winners of the week were tied by Jason and Lucas. 2-3 record determined last night by the Denver Nuggets versus the Portland Trailblazers, who only won by 3 points. And I was so sad Jamal Murray actually put up 38 points last night.
Mile high victory. We saw it coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you guys saw that coming.
Absolutely saw it coming.
Uh-huh. It was a close week. As, you may have realized, I lost. So, I'm taking the shot this week. Jason made probably, arguably, the most disgusting shot I've ever smelled in my entire life, and I might...
You're welcome.
Every week it gets worse and worse.
So, it's rum, vodka, sweet vermouth, and what was it?
Creme de Cassis.
Creme de Cassis. Okay.
Why I have these things, I'll still never know.
Yeah, my liquor cabinet is like a bottle of rum and a bottle of scotch. But, we got all these good things.
When you have a wife, you too will have bizarre liqueurs just raining from the ceiling, from signature cocktails from yesteryear.
I'm excited. So, as punishment, I have to take this shot, and I'm super scared, so I got my backup, my beer to chase it with. Bottoms up to Sip and Swish. This is gonna suck.
The color is such a deep purple.
Oh, it really is. Oh, no.
That hurt from my tongue down to my esophagus. It's still burning. Okay.
There's a distinct vein just shooting down the center of his forehead.
Oh god, that's bad.
There is.
Yeah.
It's
There's just so much pain. His body doesn't want anything inside of him.
Kids, don't lose in the Sip and Swish this week.
Moral of the story, yeah.
This week's gonna be hard for me too. These games were tough to choose. But we're gonna start off Wednesday night. The Boston Celtics versus the Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers are at home. They've been on a bit of a hot streak. They're a little angry. Blake Griffin's not happy. DeAndre Jordan might get traded according to Lucas.
I think so.
We'll see how it goes. You know what? Lucas, start off. You want to trade DeAndre Jordan. Do you think the Clippers are going to win this game?
Yeah, they're going to lose. There's too much drama. I'm picking the Boston Celtics. I think it's time for Tatum to turn it around. He's really been slumping, and I think he probably just hit that rookie wall. Brown really needs to step it up because he looks really sharp at the beginning of the year, but man, he is slumping too, which makes me really worried about a playoff push for the Celtics. Because if both those guys who are supposed to be they're not the number 1 or 2 option, but they're supposed to hold the team. They're supposed to be the glue. And if they're struggling, this whole team is in trouble.
Oh, I 100% agree. I'm going to go with the Celtics.
Ah, there we go.
I'm playing it safe this week because that was disgusting, Jason. But yeah, no, Lou is killing it, but I just don't think they have the firepower. And the Celtics are in a bit of a slump that I think they want to bounce back on this game. This week was tough to pick.
I really feel like they need to end the skid they've been on.
The struggle.
I'm sorry. I have to take the Celtics. I'm sorry, fans of the Sip and Swish. It's not interesting. We don't talk about who we're going to pick ahead of time, just so you know.
Oh, no, I summed it out, and I don't want to hear a single thing you guys talk. We barely talk about what we're going to talk about in each quarter.
I tried to tell Nick who I was going to pick once, and I'm still suffering the aftermath. My face hasn't healed. It was a slap to end all slaps. BPI takes, I don't think you said.
So, the Celtics are favored 53%, which, close game. Thursday night's game, taking the Washington Wizards, the great John Wall, the great Bradley Beal.
Boo.
Exactly. Thank you, fans out there. Versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder favored 63% at home. Who are you guys taking?
This is gross, but I'm going to go with the BPI again. I don't believe in the BPI. It's fake science.
Lucas just doesn't want to take a shot. He doesn't.
No,
Have that
there's
drive.
no way I'm picking the Wizards right now. They're struggling. Their player meetings are terrible. Bradley Beal is a drama queen.
You know the thing
It's
is,
OKC. They're freaking hot right now. There's no way I'm gonna pick against OKC.
Taking OKC. I love them, and they're just better.
It's true. They are completely.
you know what, to keep things fresh, alcohol isn't the worst. I'm going to take the Washington Wizards.
Nick's taking a shot this week.
I'm taking a shot. You know what?
Your sacrifice about to take his 5th shot.
Well, fourth, thank you. We don't count the practice podcast. All right, we're going to go to Friday night's game. I know who Lucas is picking this game already.
It's obvious.
New York Knickerbockers versus the Phoenix Devin Booker Suns.
This is obvious. Phoenix is gonna win. Booker is mad. He's tweeted about 3 times tonight that he's ticked. Subtly, that he did not make the All-Star game.
Sorry,
Averaging 25, 4, and 4.
I'm sorry I missed
Booker,
13 games and I didn't make the All-Star game.
Booker is ticked, and he's gonna go Lillard,
Play the
snub,
whole first
pissed.
half of the season, and then
How
you
many
can be
players can you say that to? Harden
Chris-
is a starter, and he missed more games.
Because he was averaging like 30 something.
He's also just grandfathered in at this point.
grandfather.
Whatever.
And he carried his team to, where are you guys in the Western Conference? Below the Lakers?
Our average age is 23 years old.
There we go. Booker, you can get mad when you get in the playoffs.
Booker.
All right, so you're taking the Suns.
Yeah, because Booker's gonna drop a 50 bomb.
The last time I took the Suns, I lost. So
you're gonna pick Porzingis, who hasn't had a good season since September, August.
yeah, September.
He
that's
played really well in preseason. That was the last time he played well.
I like he went all the way back to August too. I guess pickup ball.
Pick a ball.
Pick up
in
ball.
Lithuania.
August, Lithuania. That's the last time he played well.
Wow.
It's been a while.
A lot coming out for Lucas here.
It's been a while.
I'm going Phoenix because I think the home court advantage is enough to separate these 2 bad teams.
There we go.
I like the bad teams. Nick is taking the Knicks.
Nick is taking a shot. That's what Nick's taking.
Nick is speaking in the third person.
Nick's taking the Knicks. I like that little ring. Boston Celtics versus the Golden State Warriors. Golden State 73% chance to win.
Well, man, I think I said everything about Boston that I could against the Clippers. I just don't see them being able to beat the Warriors. I think probably right now they started off really hot, and you're probably seeing what the Celtics are going to be for the rest of the year. They might go 500, 60% win.
Pessimist, and I don't like it.
I just don't see the Celtics getting better than what they are right now, and Golden State is too good. It's a pretty obvious pick.
But Golden State did just lose to the
But I do
Houston.
think it's a good chance that Boston makes the finals. It will be a Boston Raptors conference finals. Got to give them credit.
I will still stay on record saying that I believe somehow, even though it seems impossible, like it does like once a year, every year, LeBron's gonna make it back to the finals. I'm gonna keep that going.
I've thought it.
Well, if they trade for the Magic.
If they get young players, players who want to play the game, but you know.
And I'm a sane person, so I'm taking Golden State.
Right.
Wait. I want to join the third person thing. Jason is taking the Golden State Warriors.
Whoa. It doesn't work as well as Knicks taking the Knicks.
I know that it had a better feel to it. You're right.
It just did. You know what? You guys suck. I need to start picking first. Put a little pressure on you to pick something different. I'm taking the Celtics.
Of course.
Oh, he's so bolstered by that disgusting shot right now.
He's about to take another one.
I know. It's a vicious cycle. You take one disgusting shot, you catch a little buzz, you start being reckless with your picks. Guess what? All of a sudden, fast forward next week, you're taking another shot. Repeat.
Take another shot and your season record is tanked.
I'm 3 shots in. All right, 4. Yeah, 3 shots in. So it's all right. It'll probably be 4 because, you know, this next game, though, is going to tear Jason's soul apart. Sunday night.
Isn't it a rematch?
It's a rematch.
They only play each other twice a year.
The triple overtime.
Triple overtime was the first time they played.
We are taking, if you guys didn't know about the triple overtime game, go back, watch it on YouTube. It was a great game. We're taking the Philadelphia 76ers playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. BPI is favoring the Thunder 69%.
Oh, I think that's probably too high. I think the Thunder streak right now is kind of... I mean, it's whatever. They won those games, but they won against all bad teams except for the Cavs.
Who are playing like a bad team.
Right? Who are playing like a bad team. So it's like, they should have won those games that they won. There is no reason they should have lost, but it's not like they had to go above and beyond their expectations to win those games.
But couldn't you say the Thunder now... when they played that triple overtime game was kind of when they started figuring things out.
They could. I think right now, though, that they might be living on a superstar high. And so, Melo, Paul George are like, wow, we're doing good. We can just keep doing our own little thing. And then maybe they'll start doing less and then a little less.
I think they have this game on their calendars, though. I think this game is a big game.
I don't. I think before, when they played Philly, they thought they were going to cruise. They're just playing rookies and J.J. Redick. And... they got oh God, whatever. We had to actually play them, and now they're gonna go into the game again, being we're on a 6-7 game winning streak at the end of this week. We're just gonna cruise them.
They want to crush them.
I think Philly's gonna win this game.
Ooh, okay.
I think Philly's gonna have redemption.
Jason is the kind of oddball here because he loves both teams.
I love both teams,
and I love picking this game because he doesn't know where to go.
My
hometown love.
Beautiful 2-year-old daughter has jerseys from both teams. I love both teams. This is a tough call for me because ultimately, let me say, I'm a Philly fan. First and foremost, the Thunder are just my Western Conference team.
Go Eagles.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Foles.
It's tough because I kind of feel like the Thunder are due for a couple losses, to be honest, just with we've talked about the mini runs in the NBA, and I feel like their mini run is up right now. Yeah, I'm going Sixers.
God, you guys suck.
Really? You wanted to go Sixers?
No, I'm going to go Thunder.
Okay, good.
I think the Thunder are going to win this game.
Thanks for joining us once again for the Sip and Swish podcast. Your source for the best NBA news, discussion, and just a couple of friends hanging out, drinking some beers. See you next week.